Atlanta have a sneaky chance to do something really good in the East.
Trae Young is certainly an all-star level player. I'm not putting him up there in a top 15, maybe even top 20 in the NBA.
What if I told you that the Atlanta Hawks have already experienced life without Trae Young, and the results forced the front office to rethink everything? Because while Trae Young is sidelined with an injury, the Hawks didn't collapse the way that most teams would do when they lose a star. Instead, they started winning games, playing better defense, and watching a new franchise player emerge in real time. And now, Atlanta is staring at a decision that would define this organization for the next decade. This isn't about disrespecting Trae Young, and it's not about hot take culture or a trade machine fantasy. This is about timing, roster construction, financial flexibility, and whether the Atlanta Hawks front office truly understands how to build a contender. Because how Atlanta handles Trae Young from this point forward will tell us everything about whether this is a smart and forward-thinking organization or another franchise afraid to make hard decisions. Early in the season, Trae Young suffered an MCL sprain that forced him into an indefinite absence. There's no clear return date, and most people assume Atlanta's season will fall apart without a starting point guard. Instead, something unexpected happened. During Trae Young's absence, the Hawks have been beating teams like the Cavs and the 76ers. That raised a question no one wanted to ask. What if the team didn't need Trae Young? The biggest reason Atlanta is surviving without Trae Young is the emergence of Jalen Johnson. At just 23 years old, Jalen Johnson didn't just step into a larger role, he completely transformed the identity of the team. He recorded the second fastest triple-double in NBA history and followed that performance with a career high of 41 points against the 76ers. More importantly, he began producing at a level that put him in all NBA conversations. In 2024, the Hawks signed Jalen Johnson to a 5-year, $150 million contract. In today's NBA, that contract is considered massively under market for a player producing at this level, which makes him one of the most valuable assets in the league. And once a franchise finds a young star on a team-friendly deal, every decision orbits around that player. Another uncomfortable truth emerged during Trae Young's absence. Atlanta became a better defensive team. With Trae Young in the lineup, the Hawks ranked as a bottom 10 defense in the league. Without him, the roster looked longer, more athletic, and far more switchable on the perimeter. Opposing teams had fewer obvious mismatches to attack, and the Atlanta defense identity finally made sense. This does not mean Trae Young is a bad player, it means his defensive limitations place a ceiling on how this roster can function at the highest level. While most fans are focused on wins and losses, the Hawks front office is positioning the franchise for multiple future paths. On draft night in 2024, Atlanta acquired an unprotected 2026 first-round pick from the Pelicans, a pick that conveys as a better selection between the Pelicans and the Milwaukee Bucks. That pick is currently projected to land near the top of what scouts believe is the strongest NBA draft since 2003. The Hawks also turned a failed partnership with DeJounte Murray into Dyson Daniels, a 2025 Lakers first-round pick, and an additional 2027 first-round pick. They then traded DeAndre Hunter during the best season of his career, clearing nearly $48 million in future salary and increasing their financial flexibility. These are not the moves of a franchise panicking, these are moves of a franchise preparing for a major decision. The 2026 NBA draft has a player named Derek Peterson, a 6'5" combo guard with comparisons to SGA. For Atlanta, this creates a very real possibility of drafting a Trae Young replacement on a rookie contract, while building around Jalen Johnson. The first argument for moving Trae Young is the timeline mismatch. Trae Young is 27 years old and currently in his prime, while the Hawks core of Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, Onyeka Okongwu, and Zachary Rozier age average is 22 years old. If Atlanta commits to a long-term max contract extension with Trae Young, Trae's decline could align with the core's peak. The second issue is defense, where Trae Young is consistently targeted in the playoffs. Despite all of that, there's a very real case of keeping Trae Young. He is a 4-time All-Star, one of the league's most dangerous offensive engines, and one of the best playmakers in basketball. In 2021, Trae led the Hawks to the Eastern Conference Finals at the age of 22. When Trae Young and Jalen Johnson shared the floor this season, Atlanta outscored opponents by more than 6 points per 100 possessions, a net rating typically associated with a championship team. And in the Eastern Conference without a clear dominant power, Atlanta may already be closer than people realize. If Atlanta does explore a trade with Trae Young involved, I believe they should trade with the Orlando Magic to get Jalen Suggs and Wendell Carter Jr. But if they decide to keep Trae Young for the rest of the year, I will trade with the Dallas Mavericks to get Anthony Davis for Kristaps Porzingis, Luke Kennard, and Zachary Rozier. Doing this would give Trae Young one last shot to make it far in the playoffs, and if it doesn't work, I can see him not picking up his player option and going elsewhere. There is also a scenario where the Hawks don't do anything and Trae Young declines his player option and leaves in free agency. That would give the Atlanta Hawks about $70 million in cap space entering the 2026 offseason. This would allow the Hawks to fully reset while still remaining competitive, similar to the OKC Thunder model. The Atlanta Hawks are not desperate, they are positioned, and how they handle the Trae Young situation will determine whether the front office deserves trust or scrutiny. Great organizations make proactive decisions before they are forced. The next move Atlanta makes will tell us exactly who they are. If you want real NBA analysis that look forward instead of reacting late, follow this channel, because here we don't chase narratives, we read the direction of the league.